Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's 2026 NCAA basketball tournament opening weekend press conference at the Young Family Champion Center and Crisler Center in Ann Arbor, Michigan. As a courtesy to your fellow media members, as well as the coaches and student athletes, please silence your cell phones. Please provide your name and media affiliation each time you ask a question during today's press conferences. If you are joining on Zoom, please use the raise hand function for questions. We will address questions in the room first and get to Zoom if time allows. Recording press conferences on cell phones or cameras is prohibited. If you have a question, please raise your hand so we can get a microphone to you. So gentlemen standing to the side with mics, and we're ready to begin at any time. Yeah, mic to the left. If you could bring it to the front, please. Thank you. In the front here.
Ira Weintraub, Big 1050 WTKA. For both of you, I know you came with the goal of being here, so now that you are here to get ready to host, just kind of talk about what you guys have been talking about for the last few days.
Our goal coming in this year, even last year, was to host, and I think we talked about that a lot at the beginning of the season, and we accomplished that, but we want to keep going, and we want to get further than just hosting, so just keep our momentum going. We're excited.
I think it's also recognizing that we've put the work in to get to this moment. We deserve to have that 2C next to our name. We deserve to have these games being played in here in Ann Arbor. So just coming into this first round with a lot of confidence, trusting that we put the work in to get to where we are.
All right, additional questions? In the front here, Larry.
It's been a while since you played. How have you stayed sharp? What did you do with the extra time, kind of like a bye week, I guess?
Normally we split up the teams with starters and then bench players, but Coach has done a great job of just mixing up who we're playing with every day, who we're playing against every day, and we've done a lot against each other rather than our practice squad, and those are always very competitive because we all want to push each other to be better. So our practices have been really intense and really high competitive, really.
Yeah, I think it's just been a great week or two of just focusing on ourselves. A lot of the season we've had to focus on scout and the next game, but we didn't know our opponent for a while, so we were able to focus on what our team identity and what we wanted leading into the tournament.
For our next question, we'll go to the right, about 3 rows back.
Matt Park, Michigan Radio. Sila, you said the number 2 seed that you deserved. That's a new record for the program. When that popped up that you guys were a 2 seed, what was the reaction? What was your general feeling to get that reward and be that seed?
Yeah, we were surprised, but just you could feel in the room the genuine love for each other and the love for the program, whether it be within us as players, within our staff. That was more what we were feeling rather than we got the 2, we got what we deserve per se. It was more just, we love where we are, we love who we're here with, and just a great appreciation for wearing the Michigan jersey and to be able to see our name come up when it did.
For our next question, we'll go to the second row on the right.
Nate Track from the Michigan Daily. You guys had some tournament experience last year. How are you guys approaching this first round specifically different than how you did last season?
Yeah, we have experience under our belt this year, and we've played minutes like upperclassmen have, so we're really excited to put our experience to show and just again get as far as we can, and we know our belief in each other and our circle, we believe we can make it to the national championship, and so we're just pushing hard every day and using our experience as a way to grow.
For our next question, we'll stay on the right, all the way in the back.
Jake Ritterman, WCHC Sports Worcester. Can you talk about your preliminary reactions to the Holy Cross matchup and any thoughts you have heading into the game?
Yeah, any matchup in March is going to be a tough one, but I would say we're more so focused on what we do well. Even going through film today, Coach asked around the room, what do we need to do to win this game? And I think that's what separates us from, we've been able to play with the tops in the country, and that's because we're very focused on us, and we know that if we do what we can do, then we're going to have a lot of success.
All right, we've got some time for additional questions. All set? Okay, thanks everyone. We appreciate your time. All right, everyone's here as a continuation from our player availability, so I won't reread the full announcement, but just a friendly reminder to please silence your cell phones if you haven't done so already. If you are joining us by Zoom, please use the raise hand function for questions. We'll address questions in the room first and get to Zoom if time allows. If anyone has questions for Coach, we're ready to get started. Just raise your hand and we'll get a microphone to you. We'll begin in the back right there, sir.
Hey, Coach. Kieran Alexandro, WCHC Sports, Worcester, Holy Cross. 83.6 points per game is the most points in program history. You're beating teams by the biggest margin in program history. You had the best conference record. You're a 2-seed, best seed in school history. Tell me, how are you going to bring that momentum in the most unpredictable environment in sports?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I know just listening to our players speak before about Holy Cross, you can probably say all the opposite for them on the defensive ends. I mean, they're a tremendous program, having a great season, and really limits teams in scoring. So it's going to be an interesting matchup tomorrow for sure. They're a tremendous defensive team. They hold teams in the 50s, and we try to play in the 80s. So it's going to be interesting whose pace will win out. I think it's something that we've emphasized from the beginning of the year because of the players that we have in the program. We always try to play to the strengths of our team, and we can really get out and push pace in transition. That's led by Mila Holloway, one of the best point guards, I feel like, in the country. And her growth just from her freshman year to her sophomore year has been incredible, and she understands the pace at which we want to play. So she advances the ball, she gets paint touches, she can get the ball up the floor extremely quick. But when you have the versatility of an Olivia Olson who could play any position on the floor, 1 to 5, that could bring up the ball as well, I think that really is a tough matchup to handle. And you add, Silas Swords on that wing with the ability to shoot shots like she can, shoot threes, and also get to the basket. I think it's just very helpful. And Ashley Sofolkanik has provided, she came from the Patriot League. She's provided a great inside presence for us. But our defense, as much as we're talking about the pace of our offense is predicated by our defensive intensity and by our defensive pressure. And that pressure allows us to force people to make mistakes. And those mistakes get us some easy buckets, which lead to points in the 80s.
For our next question, we'll go to the front row on the left.
Larry Leach from the Associated Press. What does it mean to have the NCAA tournament here? And unlike the last time, do you feel like this could become the standard, especially with how young your team is, and that this could be an expectation like this is what Michigan women's basketball does?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, the goal is to always win championships and to be the best team that you can be. I remember the first time we had an opportunity to host and just how incredible that was, because when I first got here, our goal was to make the NCAA tournament. And now it's funny, my brother called me, he's like, do you remember your goal was to make the NCAA tournament? Now you're the team that people are coming after, and it has shifted. And Naz Hillman certainly, and Naz Hillman's group of players certainly helped that shift, and they were the first team to host. This group is built a little bit different. This group has been able to do things as freshmen that really haven't been done before, and it's not a singular, we always say Naz, and Naz was an All-American, and Naz had a great supporting cast. But this team now has multiple people that on any given night can be the leading scorer, or on any given night can be the most impactful player. So a lot of times, what people talk about is what shows up in the box score. What we talk about as a team is who really impacted the game. And that impact might be, a Brooke Daniels who might not show up in the box score but really ignited our defensive pressure. So we try to celebrate who every team is, and this team is built a little bit different. The experiences that they've had in their young career are just different than that first team that hosted. That was kind of on the tail end of their career. So I think, that's the goal. The goal is to always be in this position. you have to be able to get those type of players that come in with that drive, that vision, that talent to be able to do it, and then the chemistry to be able to create something special. And they feel that as a group. They're a young group that leans into each other, and they're very unselfish, and they're very hardworking, and they want to do something special for Michigan. They want to do things that haven't been done in Michigan women's basketball, and that's why they all committed to us a few years ago. But that's kind of the vision that we have now.
All right, we've got some time for additional questions. If you do have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. For our next question, on the front row on the right.
Hi, Kim. What was it about Kendall and Ashley that stood out in the transfer portal, and what have they brought to your team this season?
Yeah, that's a great question. So our team last year, we started 3 freshmen. I mean, most of you guys know that: Mila Holloway, Olivia Olson, and Silas Swords. And they were 3 of the most dynamic players in the country. Sila just came in with that tremendous experience, an Olympian. What kind of high school kid is an Olympian? Few and far between. And I think she brought that international experience to our team. Olivia Olson was one of the best players in the country coming in as well. And then Mila was a little bit under the radar, but really was a great prospect for us at that point guard position, and really was a great fit for us. You have Tayala Delfas, who, her freshman year we thought a really strong freshman year for us, has really taken those steps her sophomore year. And I think when it's all said and done, Tayala is going to have a chance to be a WNBA draft pick, just like the rest of them. That's the type of talent that she is. So when you think about that core group returning with the older kids sprinkled in of Macy Brown and Alyssa Crockett and Ellie Van Timmeren, like, what did we need? What was really important for us to put this total package together to be the best Michigan team that we could be? And last year we played 5 guards because we needed a true post presence. And we felt like Ashley could certainly be that for us, a back to the basket player, someone with great touch, someone that was the player of the year in her league, could really score the basketball and could rebound the basketball. 2 key things for us that were going to be important. So that was something that was really important for us in the portal. And then last was Kendall. And Kendall is someone that I've watched since she's been a little kid. I watched her mother as a player. I think I coached against her mother when her mother was a player at LIU in Brooklyn. And I've known her family for a long time. Her mother's a legendary high school coach and AAU coach who just does a tremendous job. So I had watched Kendall grow up, really. She played against my children from a really young age. So I've known Kendall probably since she's been 8 or 10 years old. And just as a coach's kid, her understanding for the game, her feel for the game, her ability to be selfless and do whatever your team needed to help you be successful was something that our team needed from a 4 spot. So I knew that she could play alongside the players that we had returning, as well as Ashley. She was another McDonald's All-American. She can play inside and out. She just has an incredible IQ and feel for the game. So those were 2 key pieces. I think, the transfer portal is an interesting thing in college athletics right now. And at the University of Michigan, you have to be incredibly, incredibly selective. It's not a place for anyone. You have to care about your academic piece as much as you care about your basketball piece. You have to be a person that prides themselves on excellence in every facet of your life. And those 2 young women were the type of players that would fit into our program and that would help our program advance even further.
A reminder to please provide your name and media affiliation each time you ask a question. For our next question, we'll go to the front row on the left. Angelique.
Angelique Shingelis, Detroit News. Kim, a couple colorful descriptions of Brooke just now in the locker room. How would you describe her, and how important is what she brings at this time of the season, the postseason?
Yeah, Brooke is I remember at the beginning of the year when we were playing in Detroit and we were playing Notre Dame for the matchup of, who we lost to last year in the NCAA tournament. And Brooke kind of gave our pregame. If you've been at our game day stuff, we always have someone that kind of leads the pregame. And Brooke talked about, for her, what it meant to be in Detroit. We played at Wayne State on a neutral court. And just the mentality that she has, being a Michigan kid, being a Detroit kid, just the blue-collar attitude, just the toughness that comes with that, just the grit that comes with that, and the underdog mentality. Brooke is always the smallest person on the floor, by far, and most nights she's the leading rebounder on the court. She ignites our defense. She has an energy and we say a dog, a fight to her that every team needs. And she just ignites our team. She's fun to coach. I think every team needs someone that has that little bit of and she has that little bit of and she makes us go. And that's why I kind of started the conversation with what she does doesn't necessarily show up in the box score, but it gets our team fired up. I always talk about the game at Michigan State last year. So we played Michigan State here. For our freshmen, it was their first time playing in that rivalry last year here. And we were off to a great season so far, and Michigan State came in. And I think we were we didn't know what that was all about, and we got smoked. And 10 days later, we had to go to Michigan State and play at their place. How were we going to respond? What was our growth going to be like? And Brooke kind of took over that game and showed our young team at that time what it takes to be elite and what it takes to compete at this level. And I think there's kind of been no turning back from that point. She's just, she's a senior on our team, and a lot of our young kids lean into that, and we're ignited by her energy for sure.
Got time for a few more questions for Coach. We'll go to the third row on the right for the next one.
Matt Park, Michigan Radio. Olivia Olson was named a third-team All-American yesterday. She's only the second one ever in program history. Can you just talk a little bit about how much she improved from last year to this year to make that leap from being a really good freshman to an All-American player?
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up, because you don't want that not to be mentioned. What an incredible, incredible honor. And, we always talk about Naz being our first All-American. It's hard to be an All-American. College basketball, women's college basketball right now is at its peak. We have better players than we've ever had before. We are deeper than we've ever been before. The talent pool is absolutely incredible, and Olivia Olson is one of the best. And she's on our team, and I get to coach her every single day, and she's a sophomore. A lot of great things right there, Matt. I can't say enough about this young woman. I am fortunate every single day to come to work with somebody like her. She is our hardest worker. And it's like from one day to the next, who's going to work hard? Who's diving on the floor more? Is it her or Sila? Who's working harder? Is it her or Sila? Whose numbers are off the charts? Is it her or Sila? And they compete in the best way possible as tremendous teammates. But what Olivia has been able to do this year has been absolutely incredible. The consistency. I mean, that's what's off the charts, Matt. People circle her at the top of the scout every single day, and she's still able to come out and efficiently score 20 points a game. How does that happen? She's one of the best rebounders. Her improvement, her development has been incredible. I think she has all the tools, but it's her work ethic and it's her mindset that separates her from the rest of the world. She's relentless. She's driven at a really high level. We, as coaches, need to monitor her all the time to make sure she's out of the gym and make sure that she's not overdoing it, because she just wants to be so great, and she wants to was that good enough? Did I do okay today, Coach? Always trying to figure out a way to get better. I think she really invested in the off season in being incredibly intentional to the things that she needed to work on to take the next steps in her development. And that has been really important to her. I think one of the most important things for me as a coach sitting in this spot, especially in the world of the transfer portal, NIL, all that. At the end of the day, it's about people and it's about developing people. And when these young kids committed, one of the most important things for them was that they continued their development. They came in as great players. They wanted to leave as pros. And that's something that our staff has made the commitment to. We're going to help you get better. We're going to pour into you. We're going to do whatever it is to help you achieve your goals. And I know Olivia has an amazing relationship with a ton of our assistants, and I know they each work with her individually on different things, and you could really see her growth. But at the end of the day, that credit is to Olivia and just how driven and how focused she is at being great and helping Michigan be great.
All right, we'll take one final question for Coach in the second row on the right.
Sila talked a little bit about the different drills and mixing up a little bit the matchups for practice this week. How else has the preparation been different from the regular season, or have you tried to keep it pretty consistent?
No, I love, years ago when this was my first NCAA tournament, so just a couple years ago, I was like, oh my gosh, there's 2 weeks in between, like what are we going to do? And it's all about your mindset, and you have to switch that, and you have to embrace what it is. So I, as a coach, actually love these couple of weeks. It kind of brings us back to the beginning of the season. It gives us a chance to give our kids a few days off, which they never get, where we practice a couple days, have a day off, practice a couple days, have a day off, so you can really make practices competitive and intense. And it brings us back to working on us, and I think Silas spoke about that. The latter part of the year, all you really focus on is your opponent and how you're going to prepare for your opponent. This part of the year gives us a chance to work on Michigan and how do we need to get better, and what are the things that we struggle with during the course of the year that we can spend time on in these past 2 weeks really working on. So I love it. I also love the fact that we can mix up our teams. The latter part of the year, it's maize and blue, our starting group, our second group. This gives us an opportunity to really mix up those teams and compete against each other. So for me, it's fun. I hope it's fun for them too. But I think it just gives us an opportunity to stay fresh. Like, you want to go into the NCAA tournament fresh and recovered. And the season, especially our season, if you followed our season, February was a bear. And we played 6 top 15 opponents in a row. And we were able to come out of that pretty good and healthy. So I think this part of the year is making sure that we're rested, we're healthy, we're energized, and we're improved. And this last 10 days has given us an opportunity to do that.
Thank you for your time, Coach. That will conclude today's press conference for Coach Barnes-Arico. A reminder, the first 15 minutes of practice are open for media. We will have somebody to escort you to the floor to handle that. Hammond Communications will post a recording of this press conference in the NCAA Digital Media Hub at ncaa.veritone.com. Transcripts are provided by ASAP and will be posted shortly. Thank you for joining us.